Race 3 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in the clouds in the mountains above Vancouver in Whistler, British Columbia. The 2010 Winter Olympic venue, the fastest track on the planet. And we're here for the blue-ribboned event, the four-man bobsleds, the fastest sleds down the track. Hello everybody, welcome back to Whistler. I'm Martin Haven, John Morgan alongside me. And John, this track is a challenge for anything, but for these beasts, it's an entirely different world.
This track is the fastest on the planet and most challenging, as we saw last night for the women's bobsled competition. The four-mans, they could approach 94+ mile-an-hour speeds. The Andre Longa team's got the start record. Important, get in, get down before this first curve. Be settled, because it's not about the best start time. It's dropping 4, 5, 6 stories into curve 2. The best speed right there is what's going to really set you up on the bottom part of the track. Okay, then you just keep accelerating 60 miles an hour. Curve 4, it's wet, very challenging. And now you get into this curve 6. A lot of problems there last night. The Belgian women's team crashed there. Luder's loop, he loops it twice. If you do that, you get into a big skid here in this chicane. It's not a straight part of the track. Links, speeds, incredible. 85 now into Shiver. Well, there's a reason they call it Shiver. 50-50, now into the Gold Rush, now into Thunderbird. 90+ mile-an-hour speeds, 4 Gs of force. This is some speed track, that's for sure, Martin. Super speedway.
Start record set by Andre Lange's crew wasn't enough on this track. He took the Olympic silver medal. That track record set by Stephen Holcomb and his team, who went on to take the four-man gold in the 2010 games. Johannes Lochner is our World Cup points leader, also one of 2 world champions in the field. He and Francesco Frugic, his teammate, tied for the four-man world title in Koenigsegg, Bavaria last year. Chris Spring on a real rip, won yesterday a Canada 1-2 in the two-man, and he lies second in the four-man points ahead of Cody Bascu, who still leads, or is still in 3rd place in our World Cup standings for the two-man after another strong race here in Whistler. Everybody warming up in the dry-ish parking lot area. There's Alexander Casanov, a man who's got a rich vein of form here. Gold last year and 2 silvers in the previous races. Lamin Dean having a good run at the moment for Great Britain. So too is his teammate Bradley Hall. They were both in the top half dozen in Park City last week, and they would love to do the same again. Great Britain's women got their best ever race result in yesterday's women's bobsled race as well, with a 4th place finish for Misha McNeil, the best since 2009, when there was a bronze medal in World Cup racing for Great Britain bobsleigh. Well, our entry list: Patrick Baumgartner is the first sled away, and we will have, as often is the case, a battle to make it into the second heats. 22 starters, only the fastest 20 go through into the second and deciding heat. So for rookie Hunter Church, the US driver made his World Cup debut in two-man yesterday, in four-man today. Plenty of pressure. First led on the ice, four-man race in Whistler in Canada. 23-year-old Patrick Baumgartner, the youth Olympic champion in boys bobsleigh. And the rookie with Simone Fontana, Constantino Ugi and Francesco Costa behind him. Good, strong starting lineup of young athletes behind the future hope for Italian bobsleigh. Never raced here before though, John Morgan, and that's going to mean this is going to have to be conservative.
Probably his 3rd trip in a four-man, 2 trips in training, maybe 3. So things are going to come at him a little bit quicker than he saw last night in the two-man start. Well, that's the Italians' nemesis, is their start times. If they got points or awarded speed for their kit, they'd definitely be at the top of the leaderboard. Beautiful paint job, uniforms. But this isn't figure skating where there's judges. It's all about the clock, Martin.
Nice and quiet transition, 6 to 7. Little late off 7 and down, drops into 9. And this is where the speed really starts to get very high indeed.
You don't want to get yourself in trouble down here in the Gold Rush. 50-50, this is the problem. Part of the track, he makes it look easy. So,
skid off 13, he had to horn it off. He knew he was getting
it's pretty good.
That's not a bad
It's a good sign for everybody. I guarantee you there's a lot of athletes up there looking at the monitor.
Trying to read the ice. It was very much softer and more controllable in practice. It was sort of rainy, drizzly, snowy for the 3 days of practice, but ice on race days here in Whistler.
51.27 to 50.86 for the track record. I think we're going to see a track record here.
Well, we saw a track record already broken twice today.
Look at the transitions here. It's a super speedway. It's like Daytona or Talladega. NASCAR, you got to be lined up with your helmets. You can see a lot of shoulders back there in the air. Number 4 man, I think, has got to get down a little bit more, but pretty good drive by Baumgartner.
Well, next up is his teammate, who's on the other end of the experience scale, 35-year-old from Cortina d'Ampezzo, Simone Ebert, with Federico Comel, Mattia Variola, and Lorenzo Bilotti behind him. Another experienced driver with a young starting lineup, and he's already said that he is happy now to be handing on the baton to Patrick Baumgartner. Again, just even with those needle spikes, they only are on the ball of the foot. You can easily go base over apex on the ice sheet here.
The cohesion of a 4-man bobsled start. Get in, get down, be settled before that first curve. And out of the drive lines, and no energy side to side. And 486, better start than their teammates, and he's definitely the more accomplished driver. This will be his 4th game, 6, 10, 14, and 18. And Simone's dad used to compete for Italy.
Have to hope that Baumgartner has a similar kind of career and is able to help them bring up younger athletes as well.
Boy, the back end of that sled fell apart there in Luder's Road.
So we used to have 2 active tracks in Cortina and in Torino, and now both are closed. Oh, a little late.
Watch out, he taps there, and this is a lot of Robin Hood there. It doesn't respond. The 4-man doesn't respond like the 2-man. The 2-man's a sports car. 4-man is a big luxury vehicle.
Wow, 800s in front.
Up, and his teammate outdrove him there because he was 900s better at the start, only 8 at the bottom. But yeah, Simone had his hands full.
He had a bit more going on there, didn't he? 12 to 13 than Baumgartner did. And that, every time you really have to haul the sled around, is going to cost you speed.
This is 50-50, the Hulky curve.
High out of 12.
And that forces you late in to look at the runners.
Yep.
Get off there and look at the back ends. He's lucky he didn't roll that in like we saw Bruce Tasker.
Well, he knew out of 12 he was late, and he was already steering getting into 13 to haul it off. So he knew the danger was definitely present there. They've got a long way up at the finish, so there'll be a very slight hold for Loïc Costerg and his team, Vincent Richard, Vincent Castel and Dorian Hauteville. And these guys really focusing hard on bringing up the speed of their starts. They need to get up regularly into the top 10. They've been hovering around 11 to 14 over the last season or so.
Pretty proud of their efforts yesterday.
Yep.
2-man finish was one of his personal bests.
Definitely, and he does prefer a 4-man. Of course, it doesn't matter what you're in, skeleton sled, 2-man, 4-man. This track is one heck of a challenge. Always fast, always demanding, always gets the attention.
Look at the shoes, 1/16 of an inch spike to give the athletes the grip to run across the ice. There's about 350 of them in there, and they're sharp. In and down, 484, the best start, speed. Speed around there, 100 meters. Tell.
Fastest ever start here by Angel Lang and his crew, 470. 1400s away. They're starting fast today, aren't they?
A lot of great teams in the field, that's for sure. I believe that start record or that track record could be going down.
I wonder if they might both tumble today.
Late out of 9-7. So, see him get it. Oh, watch out now. He's hit that tap in the take on, and he's still sliding through. That looks good here, though. He got it under control.
Got lots of speed. Sometimes you keep the speed by not hitting the walls. Sometimes you just let it fly. 2400s up. It's a really good run. Loïc Costerg.
50.86.
Wow.
How close that is to the track.
That ties the track record. and that's only the third sled down.
Tell the French they almost broke the track record. 100 for the French.
Wow, somebody needs to get down there and tell him now he has tied the all-time track record set in the Olympic Games. No faster race ever than that one. And he's looking, okay, it was sort of so-so.
It was not.
So-so?
That was not a pedestrian ride down the track. You know, so you can pick it out. This is out of 7. Luder's Loop, he flops out of there. Now that causes a skid. These big four-mans, it's tough to get them into a skid, but when they do, they have a mind of their own.
Well, but for that late exit, he'd be the new track record holder. No question. He'd have beaten Olympic gold medalist Stephen Holcomb.
That would have been a great scout.
Wow, I don't think he even realizes that. Next up, Ivo de Bruin of the Leathers. Just want to say hi very quickly to Esme Campus, an old friend of ours, and her 2-day-old baby who are up watching the sliding. Listen, when you've got a two-day-old baby, you're always up in the middle of the night. Congratulations to Esme.
I'm sure she's making the poor kid watch.
Oh yeah, never too young to get them started, she said. So your own pick, Bro van der Zijde and Janko Franschik are the crew for Ivo de Bruin, and their new sponsor has the live stream on in all the casinos in the Netherlands.
I wonder if there's any bets.
Well, do you know what? Might be getting some decent money down on them. This could be a good trip for these guys.
Mid-80s start. They were doing pretty good last week in Park City at the start. 42, the best start. Great. Exit out of 1. That's the slingshot effect on this track. You drop about 6 stories from curve 1 to 2. TV does not do the track justice how steep it is.
100th in front of Lloyd Kosterg. That track record is going to go.
Smooth.
Ooh,
big waiver there. Watch
real
out.
trouble. Hangs on to it out of 7, but oh boy. Okay, now danger zone at 11 into 12 and 13 of the Gold Rush Trail.
Smooth there, though. Nice lines. Boy, it looks very forgiving, the 50-50 curve compared to what it was for the women's program.
We're only 3 sleds in. Don't talk about that yet. 51-31. Okay, well, that leaves him 4,500s back, and that big moment he had in Luder's Loop,
lost the back end,
huge skids. I'm sure that really made him err on the side of caution. Get him down safe. You don't get a second heat if you wreck it.
Got a new sled coming to him when next time we see him in Winterberg. But watch this. Watch the back end of the sled here. Luder's Loop. Look at the back end come up, and that's like it's a free fall. Look at it. I mean, he's got no control over the sled there.
Tail was wagging the dog there, wasn't he?
And then here in the 9, he corrects. But
yeah, smiling as much with relief as anything else. Ivo de Bruin, 4th place of our 4 sleds. Our field of 22 starters. Next up is Maxim Anjanov with Andriy Lifov, Yuri Selikov and Rusyan Samitov on the back of the sled.
The next 4 sleds, the track record's going down a couple times.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going to leave it today.
Where are they going to go with it? But, you know, it's a 7-year, 11-month-old record, 10-month-old record. Hey.
Fastest start so far, 482 from the Dutch into the 70s. 483.
Watch the rudder tips. Little back end skid. That's check mark no. Not a good exit there. Now it's 4, 5. This little quick 6 sets you out for Luder's Loop. Now remember what the Dutch did. Let's watch his line through Luder's Loop, and that's consistent low. He exits without flopping, and these are good lines. He's 200 back. That was, as soon as I said a good line, then he was too early on the exit.
Yeah, ran it along the wall into 9 as well, which costs him speed. 900s though, still very close to the leader. He could find all of that in Thunderbird on the run up to the line.
Not there.
Clean run to the line, needs it. How close? 1400s back.
Zubkov. Looking at the first of 3 Russian sleds. Looked pretty good as a run down the track. Couple of mistakes up top, but no one's coming down the track in these big 4-man sleds clean.
And Anjanov will likely be the 3rd of the 3 Russians. Stulnev and definitely Casanov have a bit better than him in 4-man.
That's hugging the wall. I think you can use. Then he hugs and he comes too late there, flops off. Look at the heads. When you see the heads and you saw the split in the cowling, that means that the articulation was maxed out. And when you do that, you're a lot of friction.
First 5 sleds in our race safely down. 4-man bobsled World Cup 3 here in Whistler. Loic Costaigne of France is the interim leader. Great Britain's Lamindine, 6th place last week in Park City with Ben Simons, Toby Alubi and Andy Matthews in the braking crew. Really big night last Saturday night in Park City for 4-man bobsleigh for Great Britain. And they come in here full of enthusiasm and excitement for this race.
These guys should have the best start. I mean, some really 4 huge, very fast, quick athletes on this sled.
Lamindine in, gets control.
470 straight here. Not perfect.
Little tap from 1 to 2. Good exit out of 3, but taps early on cost you a lot more than you expect. 900s in the lead. Well, he needs to be comfortably ahead of Loic Costaigne to be able to have a shot at a top 6 finish.
Set up here, watch Luder's loop. Watch him flop or straight? Straight.
Nice smooth run through there, rubs down the wall into corner 9, 1/10 of a second in front. Now he needs to find some speed at the bottom, and this is where you'll find it.
He just keeps it on 4 runners. He'll be the leader. Boy, these are good lines. This is good speed. This is a good run from Lamindine.
Really
this is a track record.
Here we go, 1700s up, and he breaks the track record, a 50.66, 2/10 of a second faster than any man has ever managed to drive down here.
I think they're happy. Be able to tell his
154 kilometers an hour. They were doing 97 miles an hour.
Come on.
97, 154 kilometers an hour. That may be the top.
95 was the best ever speed, so whoa.
That may be the top speed we've ever seen on this track.
Top speed,
boy.
Any place.
And we're barely getting started. Okay, next up, Germany's Nico Volta. So Lamindine of Great Britain is leading from Loic Costaigne of France. It's like the 1970s and the 60s again. Great Britain and France leading a bobsled race. We've still got a lot of sleds to go. Nico Volta in really fine form this season with the FES 2-man and 4-man. He's got Kevin Kuska, Kevin Corona and Eric Franke on the sled. Kuska, one of those who set the start record in 2010.
Can't believe he's still around. Look at the size of him on the left. Watch him get in. 6'4", 250 pounds, 479 start. Now, barring some kind of mishap, this should be another track record coming up here. Because this FES sled has already got 1 victory of the 2 4-man races staged so far.
Yeah, winner of the season opener in Lake Placid. The second night victory went to Cody, that was in the 2-man. He won it in the first race in Park City as well in the 4-man.
Ooh, back end of the sled looked like it got a little airborne. Ooh, watch out.
Oh!
Now
Nico, come on.
Nice, that's good. It's down to 100 though. He might not, he's not going to do it. Lamindine's got him.
Well, that was a major moment.
This is a big scalp for Lamindine.
That might be the first of a few. 1500s back, 50.81. That inside the old track record as well. On its own, apart from the fact that it was very scary in 7, that was a good run. 50.81 is inside the old track record.
Where did that go wrong? It looked a little bit like an 11.
Well, 7 was ugly.
Here, this here, 7, and then, yeah, the couple dips here. This is 11, and then taps. A lot of steering there to correct, but he does. And when you come that smooth, sometimes smooth isn't fast, but surprised.
Well, there we go. Lamindine, Nico Volta, Loic Costaigne, the top 3. 7 sleds down, and the drama is already at fever pitch. Next up is Alexander Casanov. Casanov won last year, silver the 2 previous years behind teammate Alexander Zubkov, and that's just his 4-man results here. He's had 2 bronze medals in the 2-man a couple of years ago as well. So Casanov, of all the tracks we visit, this is possibly one of his very favourite. It's certainly his most successful.
As good a driver as there is in the field, his nemesis is the starts. If he can get himself into the 70 start.
Alexei Pushkarev was on the sled with him when they won last year. So 2 of the 4-man is the same. Get in, get down, be settled before the first curve. The Russian's very proficient there. 478 matches the best start. Speed, that's a great exit there. This exit there, that was the best speed, I think. So tied for the lead with Lamindine off the start. 400s up now. Exit of curve 1, so crucial. You drop out of a 6-story building, and you want to do that with energy going forward. Oh, look at the back end of the sled, came out on him, too loose, but he's pretty smooth there. Yeah, oh, big skid down from 9 to 10. He needs to get this under control out of 11. Looks really smooth, but it's down to 6. Maybe the track. Well, I don't know. Everybody is struggling to adapt to this hard, fast ice because right to the 100th of a second. Training. Either way. New track record. No. 200s back. But I think Zubkov was excited there because he knows in the next run he'll go things to tidy up. Well, Lamindine does as well. Don't forget, he hit between 1 and 2. Yeah, so that was inside the track record too. So 3 straight sleds of the old track record. And we had a tie, didn't we, from Lloyd Kosterg as well. Yeah. Look at the back end here. This is Luder's Loop. Watch the back end. You see that got loose there. Yeah. You could see the runner marks there. Those are crash marks from the Belgian sled last night. So these sleds are definitely set up for a grippier track than we've got today. That's why you're getting those big tail end slides. We're also getting some big fast speeds here in the bottom too. 4 of 8 sleds, 4 of the first 8 have equaled or beaten the Olympic track record. Next up, Francesco Friedrich, 4-man world champion with Janis Becker, Martin Grotkop and Torsten Margis, also of course the 2-man world champion. Well, this should be a 70 start, but of course Friedrich hasn't really been aggressive. 478, it's third at 13. And good exit, it took too much of that curve. He's way up there on the top of curve 1 and had to snake it off. That's why he's red numbers already, and had a skid there too. So he's been sleeping. He has not really had a perfect finish yet. And this is a guy in last year, the 2-man. He was first or second in every run. Oh, and again, the back end all over the shop in turn 7. Wow. Yikes. Again, the setup is all wrong for this. Look at him waving horribly there. A lot of steering. But again, you know, I think their strategy is peak in February, not November. Well, he's had 3 9th place finishes and a 4th. I don't think he's playing himself in gently. 9th again. The worst run of the heat means he has a good chance at Mount. He's got to be able to make the cut. 22 sleds in. Yeah. Well, listen, where are all races won and lost? In the 5 inches between the ears, he's had 3 9th places and a 4th. He's not feeling the love here in North America. Well, watch the back end of the sled here. You tell me. Nose climbs, he holds the line, and the tail... Look at it drift there. I mean, the nose is higher than the back of the sled. Got no grip at all on the rear runners. Well, that's strange. It's Whistler. And same again, look. He dives because he doesn't trust the back. Not too many times he's last after 9 sleds. Oh, dear. What are we seeing here? Well, what we saw yesterday was Canada 1-2. Chris Spring squeezing out teammate Justin Cripps. Can the Calgary Stampede sled make it into the medals again? Calgary Stampede is supporting this sled. The greatest outdoor show on earth, they say. I say this is equal to it in excitement and measure. Pretty surprised if we don't see mid-70s start here and a big-time track record lead at the bottom. 476. 2! Only 200s off the track record. Perfect exit. Quiet. Just as quiet. Only 900s up. That's suspect. Little tap there, we heard some noise. Oh, tap there. Oh, way up on the high, on the lip there.
and it's down to 1. So this is not going to be the track record at the bottom. Now the question is, what top 5 placing is he going to have?
Again, even the Canadian sled looks a little wayward at the back, or are we just now imagining it?
Yeah,
here we go. Is he going to close at all? He found phenomenal speed in Thunderbird yesterday in the 2-man. Not enough.
This is the first heat on this track, I am telling you now, is just a qualifying heat. If they're close, they're only 2000s, 2800s out. There's going to be a lot of shuffling of the cards in the second round.
Yeah, that no doubt, no doubt.
The deck is going to change up. The people who went early had a big advantage on this track. Look at this tap. We heard a lot of noise up here. Now watch the sled climb way up near the lip. And then down here in 50-50s, Holke's 50-50. Little skid there in the back end of a 12 to 13. And
late pressure off 12 got him into a skid just where you want to really have the sled going in the right direction. Lamindine of Great Britain leads the first 10 sleds down, throwing an awful lot of cards up in the air. You have to wait to see where they land. USA's Cody Basque, our 2-man World Cup points leader, and he had silver medal in the second race in Park City in the 4-man as well. So he is on a fine rip of form. Nate Webber, Carlo Valdez, Sam McGuffey on his sled today.
Double-digit placing last night in the 2-man. He's no longer the World Cup leader.
Yep, well, that's true. He slipped down to 3rd place behind the 2 Canadians.
And the Canadians are still in the outrun, which is delaying the departure of the U.S. 1 team. Only 2 U.S. teams in the competition. Team Nick Cunningham pulled out before the draw last night. And I spoke to Cunningham about it. He said they're just having sled issues. This is the sled. This is a Night Train 2. The one Stephen Holcomb drove to his bronze medal at the 2014 Sochi Games. Here's the spikes.
And just going into the sled, you saw the galoshes that they wear over the spikes to protect them when they're down at the bottom. Those travel with them.
Nate Webber, Carlo Valdez, Sam McGuffey. Should be at least a 480, if not better. Good starts last week in Park City. Ooh, little variance.
Oh,
76 with great speed.
Excellent start from Cody Basque's team now. Can he keep the speed on board? He's got a shot here of medals.
Just listen, only 4 up. That's not a good sign. He's only 4 up there. It should have been like 6 or 8. Oh, late, really late there. Almost tipped over. He's got to stay within 2,500. Put himself in a podium position and watch out here. This is okay though, 11, 12, 13, this is fine. He looks like he's at 4th position. 1,500's back, this isn't bad, he's held the speed. So Cody Basque skids into the finish in 5th. And that's a pretty good run.
That's a good competitive run. From there,
second
like
best
you said,
start.
with Cripps, you can work something.
Yeah.
Part of the job, John, is getting down in the first heat. Because if you crash, that's it, it's all done. In the second heat, you can be a little bit more inventive, creative.
I think we're going to see an unbelievable race in the second row.
God, no kidding.
Watch this here. They're almost tips over. That's where the Belgian team tipped over last night. Exit a 6 and a 7. But he recovers here. Now watch the exit. Watch for the heads. Do the heads go left or right? That flopped a little bit and hit. And this is the extension of that shot. Pretty clean there into 9.
Yeah, came nicely into 9 for him.
Nate
Cody
Webber.
Basque in 5th place then. And don't forget, in February 2019, the World Championships here in Whistler, so there's 4 runs in which to work your magic. Chris Spring will be up for that in the biggest way. Last night's winner in the 2-man, his second such victory on this track, and he had bronze in the 4-man just 2 years ago here as well.
Josh Kirkpatrick, Cam Stones, Neville Wright, good start, 479. Watch the front. Came out a little bit on the left side of our screen. A little late there. Clean there. 600's back already. I think that exit of first curve, too much of a curve and turn.
It's a lot of sled to get around turn 1. Let's see what he's got.
If there's ever a place to be quiet on this track, it's the exit of curve 1. Way back.
Ooh. 2100's back, skiddy.
So So he was good last week in Park City, but here on his home track where he was flying in the Canadian trials.
And he won last night.
So this is a top 8, 7.
Oh, slide up to the line, 8th place, 51.03. Now I wonder whether the Canadians went for a little bit too much control. 50.94, 51.03. They're only, what's that, 900s apart, the two Canadian sleds, but they're 3/10 from where they want to be, really.
Well,
again,
Dean still owns the track record, and no one's going to get it in this heat.
Well, again, they might light it up. We've got Johannes Lochner, Oskars Melbardis. We've got Oskars Kibermanis, maybe, Benny Meyer. Who knows? There's all sorts of weird stuff that might happen here.
Don't think the track's got it left. Look at the skid going uphill. Hard to get the four-mans in a skid, but when they do, they go in their own direction, that's for sure.
There's a Springer not looking overjoyed. Third of our Canadian sleds. They're coming up in a bit of a what's a cluster of maple leaves? I don't know. Nick Polignato, Lascelles Brown, Ben Coakwell, Derek Plug. They've got strength in depth in this Canadian braking lineup as well. A couple of former Olympians back with the squad. You can see Lyndon Rush in the background there, coaching their drivers.
Okay, get in, get down, get settled.
Oh, look at the leg speed of Ben Coakwell at 3:40.
Very competitive start for the Bishop's University football player. A lot of great exit there occurred at 1. That's a mistake there. 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Only 6 back. You saw the back end of the sled flop there. Let's see if that 10 or 12 probably the next clock.
Better control in 7 than we saw from
nice line there at 17. Yeah, the track doesn't have it left, so he just wants to get within 25 to 30 hundredths here at the bottom, which will give him a chance to be part of the shuffling of the cards in the second round.
At the moment, 12th of 12 sleds is Francesco Friedrich, the world champion. Just saying that now. It's out there.
Good line.
Hello, 9th at the line, 51.13. Okay, so a 10th behind teammate Chris Spring, which you might kind of expect. He's a couple of years, well, 4 or 5 years, 5 or 6 years behind Chris Spring in terms of driving knowledge. See Lascelles Brown missed it up, sitting in there at 2.
Definitely the oldest guy, maybe the most fit guy. Look at the size of that guy, yeah. 43 years old. Look at him.
Well, we talk about how Beat Hefty's probably got an Olympic cycle too long. I think Lascelles could go another one.
Well, this tricky chicane, it's not a chicane, it's not a straightaway, it's a bend away. Look at the heads, look at the aerodynamic. Oh, you see a lot of bodies back there. Keep your eyes on people coming down the track. If you can see anybody behind the driver, that's not a great aerodynamic profile.
Tell you what, it's going to be a brave coach tells Lascelles Brown he can't push anymore. Next up is Johannes Lochner, our 4-man world champion and our current World Cup points leader. 4th in Park City Race 1, victory in Park City Race 2. Which of those Johannes Lochner days is he going to have today? Or is he going to have a Francesco Friedrich day? So the Bavarian also in a Valner sled. Hannes Valner, the sled builder's here. Normally he's quite a chatty guy. He likes his motor cars and racing, but you can't get more than a service out of him.
Great start.
Second fastest getaway. Lead of Blandin could be under threat.
Already lost it. So that, the track up top, there's no reward there, so you just try and get through there without losing a couple of tenths. And hold it at the bottom, and he's really high in Lerner's Loop. 600s back isn't bad. He could stay 10, 1500s if he has a pretty good line in the gold rush right here, 14.
Could be top half dozen. Best German sled Nico Volta is in 3rd. He was 7th off.
Boy, this is just, he's dropping like a stone. The time has just gone away.
Well, we've seen that already a couple of times, haven't we? 5th place,
that's a tie.
Tied with Cody Basque and 300s ahead of Justin Cripps.
Good speed in the bottom part of the track.
And 500s behind Loic Kosterg. Our top 4 came out 6th, 8th, 7th, and 3rd.
They know they're in the running right there.
Yeah.
I think they're saying, hey, we got one more run and we're out of here.
Only 500s off the old track record as well. It wasn't a bad drive.
Little flop there up in top 6 to 7. Really high on the roof there in 7. And watch the heads there, and good aerodynamics. You look how low the brakeman's are. See the helmet? The only one you can see is the number 2.
Yep.
So they've got great aerodynamic profile, as expected in the German sleds.
And the air tumbles down from the driver's high points. Next up is the first of our Latvian contenders, and this is Oskars Melbardis. Well, the Latvians have struggled on this track. Only once in 2-man or 4-man has a Latvian driver taken a medal here since the Olympic Games.
Well, Melbardis won a bronze last night, though.
Yeah.
With a very suspect start time. This is the 2015 world champion who had the best starts of anybody in the field. Ooh, a little variance there. And watch, he's going to be red numbers here right there. But he's already lost it. So I really think the track's so scratched up there. Curve 1 and 2 does not allow the acceleration point that the sleds early on were allowed. Lots. Ooh, really problems.
Yeah, really slapped the wall with 8, didn't he? Hard and late off 9. Oskars Melbardis needs to get it together in the danger zone now. Well, through 50-50 like it was not there, so that's a blessing for the crew. But half a second back, and he is going to be the slowest of our sleds.
Unbelievable.
He is the slowest of our sleds.
So the world champion in 2016 is in 14th place. The world champion in 2015 is in 15th place.
Yep.
How do you evaluate that? Look, hang in there, they're telling him, but...
Yeah. Well, Francesco Frugic, Oskars Melbardis at the bottom with 15 sleds down.
I think there's no way that these two guys... Look how high, look at the back end of the sled. This was just a disastrous curve.
You know,
How
many times have we seen that? The sleds are not set up for the fast ice today.
Well, that curve has presented that type of visual problems.
Lamindina, Great Britain leads from Alexander Casanov and Nico Volta, but the teams at the bottom of the pile are the big story here. So, what can Brad Hall of Great Britain do? Late change at 2. Out is Bruce Tasker, who crashed last night. In is Nick Gleeson, the man from 3 Para, who was on the back of Tasker's sled last night, takes his place. Joel Fearon and Greg Cackett are the 4-man team. Brad Hall led after the first heat in Park City last week. It drifted away to a mere 3rd place, his first ever World Cup medal.
Great start, and not a bad exit. It'll be red numbers here probably pretty quick.
476, same start as their teammates.
Hanging in there, he's got through the curve 4, still in the lead. There's the red numbers.
In fact, he started 200s quicker than Lamindine.
Watch him here, watch the back end of the sled. Oh, the car just got in the way.
So what's he got?
10.
Neat and tidy through 7. We didn't see that big skidding and sliding we saw. Maybe the British have gone for a more controlled setup, and that seems to be working.
He's smooth. He's a good run.
And this could be a top 10 run. 8th place at the moment on the sprints.
And coming this late in the field, this is a good run. He's going to be within 30 hundredths, which means he's in striking distance.
Top 8. He is in 8th position, right behind Justin Cripps.
Take that. Take that. That's a good run. 3rd best start, 8th best downtime. Started 16th, deep in the hole.
Well, they were 3rd and 6th last Saturday night, the British 4 men. Can they repeat that or go even better?
Cohesion of a 4-man bobsled start. Watch it get in now. Watch the number 2 guy wait. Look at him, see him wait. Wait for the 3 guy to get in, get his feet down. Then he slips in, his hands come up in cohesion, down. Choreography on ice, we like to call the bobsled start.
Brad Hall looking relatively happy with that. The boys delighted with their first ever World Cup medal with bronze last week. Well, now then, lots of pressure on Hunter Church this weekend. Not a track he knows intimately. It's not Lake Placid. He made his World Cup debut in 2-man yesterday evening, makes his World Cup debut in 4-man tonight. With Brent Vogt, Louis Moreira back in the squad. Welcome back to him. And Hakim Abdul-Sabur is the man at 4. He was on the back of Hunter's 2-man sled yesterday. They didn't make the second heat. They got a much better shot at it, I think, with this 4-man crew.
Okay, so anything in the mid-80s or low 80s would be a good start for this crew. They were here 3 weeks ago in the America's Cup, North America's Cup, 46. Decent. Exit. Excellent. But we're seeing a lot of Brent Vogt right there. Number 2.
Position, that's a 50.9.
Yeah, you know, these guys are not in a fitting sled. That's one of the reasons Nick Cunningham and team pulled out ball. He was really high there. 6. Almost tipped over.
Okay, there's the warning. If the alarm bells aren't ringing now, he's got to be conservative and get it down. A half-decent run will see him in the field. Only 2 sleds get cut, so he just needs to make sure there's no major errors. 17th on the splits.
Hanging in there now. Boy, the back end of that sled, 6, 7 is... Oh.
Okay, 51.77.
World Cup bobsled debut for Hunter Church from Katyville, New York. You know, and it was certainly exciting up there in curve 6 and 7.
Yeah, not the quiet ride you expect at other tracks here in Whistler.
Whistler Sliding Center presents challenges all over the place. You talk about a pivotal part of the track, well, it's the whole track. Watch here. Watch how high he gets. When he gets in, he hits the roof. Then he comes down, centrifugal force. Now he's got to go back up and watch this 4-man is airborne and skidding into 7. Not the way you want to look at Luter's Loop. And to his credit, he corrected well. What's the brakeman here? Does he come up before? Oh, does he come up? Oh, he's still looking. You know, get your head down. That's number 2 guy is still a couple hundreds here in this super speedway.
Next up is the second of our Latvian sleds, 18th of 22 starters, Oskars Kibermanis, with Jānis Jansons, Ovis Lucis and Ravis Zirups. Being cheered on from behind by the fans and the coaches. Well, Kibermanis definitely has what it takes to make the field, John, but all bets are off here after
just hanging out. It seems like the Latvian teams, the 17th best start, one of the best starting teams in the competition. He won the event in St. Moritz last year, 3rd in Pyeongchang, Korea, and he's just hanging out here on the North America tour. I think he might be developing the same, generating the same strategies the Germans. Peak in February. Watch out here.
And we saw that in the 2-man race from him as well. You could clearly read the whole of the sponsorship down the side of the sled into 9. You should only see the brakeman's back, and this is really wild.
Start time.
He's not got a grip of this at all, has he? He's hanging on by the skin of his teeth. In the end, it's a pretty quick sled, 11th place.
For the start time he had the 17th best start. He's the 18th guy down the track.
Nearly crashed it. No, I know, look at him shake his head. Yeah. I'm saying that was more luck than judgment. I don't want to take anything away from his driving abilities, but the way that sled was careening down the track.
Look at how tentative everybody gets out.
That was a runaway train, and he just happened to be the man at the front of the seat.
Okay, now watch him tap, bang. Now he's got to go in the middle of the curve, and now he's really got to do some steering here. Look at the
skid.
That's at 90 miles an hour.
Holy moly. You don't want to be backing it off 12 into 13. Yeah, they got down. It wasn't smart, but it got them down. Next up, 19th of our sleds today. It's Benny Meyer of Austria, Stefan Lausega, Marcus Sammer, and Donat Moldovan. And he's got a new Valna sled as well. When he gets back to Europe, he's going to test last year's sled, which he thinks is faster. And is that part of Germany's problem? Has Hannes Valner's development sled for this year not quite got the edge yet?
He's playing with him. wasn't comfortable. First curve, rudder tips late. Oh, really came off that net.
Seen a lot of sleds hit the wall 1 to 2, haven't we?
600s, that's not bad, considering 11th best start.
Into 10th place on the splits.
Good.
See if Benny can create something special here for himself.
Top 12 run at least. I said that he's in 13th now. A lot of 11. That's the line. That's pretty fast. It's a good line, must be. Back up to 10th now. So that late line into 11 was smooth into the gold rush. That's maybe the way to go, but lost a little bit more at the bottom.
Yep, all went away from him down there.
Hey, 11th best start, 14th finish. They started 19th. Shuffle up the cards, they could move up.
Okay, they're in the mix. Bottom 2 sleds with 19 of our 22 down are Hunter Church of the USA and Oscars Melbardis. So Francesco Friedrich will get a second run.
Look at this. This is the latest sled out of 11, and that was perfect. And he came perfectly into 12, into 13. Maybe it was too perfect. Maybe it was too much steering.
Lost so much momentum with that rocky ride through 11. That's where the speed started to go away again. 20th sled to fill our field. Alexei Stulnev, Kirill Antuk, Ilya Malik, and Roman Koshalev. Well, currently, Maxim Anjanov in 9th position, and Alexander Casanov in the silver medal position, last year's winner. The only person to have beat Casanov since the games, Steve Holcomb and Alexander Zubkov. And neither of them here with us competing. What can the third Russian sled do? Alexei Stulnev should have what it takes. He should be better than Anjanov. He's better ranked in the World Cup points in 2-man and 4-man. 12th and 19th in Park City.
8th in this event last year. And he posted his first ever World Cup medal, a bronze in the Kodice World Cup last January. No doubt he can drive.
Ooh, big skid.
Hard transition there. His exit there was pretty good, pretty quiet.
Middle line getting into 9. Let's see how he fares with the big right-handed corner.
This is pretty much like Benny Myers' line.
Yep. A little less scary for the crew behind the Benny Myers ride. 17th place. He's slipping way down the order. Off an 11th fastest start, he claims 16th with a clean run out of the final corner uphill. But it's not anything that anybody's going to send postcards home about. 16th, tied with Ivo de Bruyne, ahead of Francesco Friedrich. Now, any other day you're 100th ahead of Francesco Friedrich, you're doing all right, you're in the sunshine. Now you're only just in the race. Melbardis and Church are in the drop zone.
And the next 2 sleds are Swiss.
And look at that.
Look at these.
Yikes.
This is down. They're only going about 96, and boy, that...
Did he get the woodwork there? Yeah. If he didn't,
looked
then
like he did touch it. That's why he was doing pretty good until the last speed trap, so maybe he touched the roof up there.
Not sure there was a cigarette paper if he didn't. 20 sleds down, 2 to go. Lamin Dean the leader, but it's Hunter Church and Oscars Melbardis in the drop zone. Well, this track's signature turn, Holke's 50-50. Right now, I think we've got a 50-50 chance of somebody making the cut and somebody not. Rico Peter would get my money over teammate Bert Hefty, but this track is the sort of place where all bets are off the moment the race gets underway. Had a win 2 years ago in the 2-man competition.
The reckless driver who won a 4-man event last year in Lake Placid also, so... Quiet? No, he was not quiet out of the first curve. That was.
Impact on our
last year he took the silver medal here in the 4-man competition behind Alexander Casanov, so we know he can do it. Brawl van der Zijde on the crew there. Ooh, he's got Alex back.
Oh, airborne! Oh, that sled went in the air. 1,385 pounds up in the air. at 70 miles an hour.
It's still him and not Hunter Church. 17th on the splits, up to 16th. He's now tied with Stoll-Evan de Bruyn.
He's flying now. He's got it back under control.
Well, he's not going to get another medal here today, but he will make the heat and he will cut Hunter Church. 13th place at the line, all right. Considering what happened early in the run, John, well, the fact they didn't finish on their helmets is a bonus. 13th is a real bonus.
He went airborne between 6 and 7, which means he was over on the right side of the straightaway where nobody else has been, because we see no other sleds do that. Here's 6. Now watch how this sled, he taps and he goes to the right side. Look at the air. Look at the brakeman pop up there, and then look at the back end of the sled. You just don't see pictures like this at most other bobsled tracks.
Don't.
Bang, hugging the wall.
And then gets in going the wrong direction. He's going right, corners going left. Random ride from Rico Peter, last year's silver medalist. But he is down and in the race. Hunter Church misses the cut now. Does Rico Peter, I beg your pardon, Bert Hefty make the field? Or does Oscar's Melbardis cling on by the skin of his teeth?
Where does he finish last week?
Bert Hefty 18th and 22nd, so he's 50-50 for making the cut.
When he got the 18th finish, I think he was the first or second guy off the hill.
In contrast, Oscar's Melbardis, who's in 20th at the moment, has been 4th and 7th this year in four-man races.
Yeah, they got in, not in a cohesive manner, and the sled had a little bit of a skid as it exited the drive lines. And 2800's back. Ooh, late there. This, you can see the head slapping like that. That's the transition off the curve.
22nd on the splits. This is the slowest run so far of the second slowest start.
This is not Bert Hefty's favorite track. And watch out here. Oh, that's that same line we saw from Neymar.
21st ahead of Hunter Church. Has he got enough to bump out Oscar's Melbardis at the line?
Pretty good lines at the bottom.
No, Melbardis was 6900s behind at the line. Hefty's already 8700s back. A second off the pace. He's in 21st place.
Unbelievable that this
just came down exactly half a second slower than teammate Rico Peter.
You know, if you're going to go out on top, Bert Hefty, so many, he's got Olympic medals, world championship medals as a brakeman, he's got world championship Olympic medals as a driver, and definitely is not going to remember these final races of his career, especially here in West. Look at the, almost hits the wall on the first curve.
Now he's looking inside. I wonder whether something was off with the D-rings, whether they weren't quite connected up the way he wanted.
The British are coming.
That's in America. They never shouted. Oh yeah, they probably did, but in French in Quebec. Team Lamindine leading after the first heat. Teammate Brad halted exactly the same last Saturday evening in Park City. How will this one run for the 36-year-old guardsman?
Pretty tame first heat, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But he got it down without hitting things apart from corner 1 to 2. Lamindine leads by 200s from last year's winner, a man who's not been out of the medals in 4 races here, Alexander Casanov. Nico Volta is 3rd, Loic Costeg of France in 4th. What a run from them. Johannes Lochner 5th. And Cody Bascu rounds out the top half dozen. Medalists could come from pretty much anywhere in the top 8. Maybe at a stretch top 10, Chris Spring. Would seem a bit far away today, I think.
Take a deck of cards, shuffle them up. That's what we're going to see in the second run. Going to be pretty interesting.
Helen Upton and her baby there on the top of the track. And Jacqueline Auberge up there as well, a skeleton slider for Canada among the fans trackside. And you can join them and us. Join John Morgan, the IBSF TV crew, and me, Martin Haven, for the second heat coming up in just 35 minutes from now on the 2010 Winter Olympic track. We'll see you then to find out who gets gold in Whistler. Stay with us.